Words Matter. Welcome everybody to the Words Matter podcast. Here recording at the Gentleman's Factory in Brooklyn. To my left, I have a very special guest. Got Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah.
Perfect.
Thank you. I was practicing. I was definitely practicing.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Nana is a New York Times best-selling author. He is from my hometown of Spring Valley, New York.
Gang.
Word, gang. And that's amazing. I've just to be in the presence of New York Times best-selling author, and just be here, humble. Thank you for coming, man.
I'm happy to be here, and of course, like you said, home team. We're on the same team. We gotta support each other.
Yeah. So, once again, thank you for coming to Gentleman's Factory, to the Words Matter podcast. I'm excited to talk to you.
100%.
Yeah. So, who are you?
I'm Nana. Like you said, I'm a writer, and I got lucky with this first book, Friday Black. We were able to make the list you mentioned, but besides that, I'm an artist. I'm a creative, and even calling myself artist, I think is something that I had to grow into, and I'm still growing into feeling comfortable saying that. But I mean, and beyond that, I'm pretty regular and chill. I'm from Spring Valley, Rockland County, which to me matters, and that says something. And I'm just another person trying to figure it out, trying to make a way to, make things in this world that's pretty crazy, and sometimes get to do cool projects with my friends or just by myself. And someone just figuring it out every day.
That's a great answer. So, we've never, not that I know of, had a New York Times bestselling author from our hometown.
Right.
As a writer, was that something that you ever aspired to become?
Yeah, well, it's hard because, now that I've gotten those things, like sort of those like clear acknowledgments in terms of sales or awards or whatever, I've tried to decenter those in my mind as being important. But I wish I could find the tweet. Like, I remember being, like, before my book came out, saying there will be a New York Times bestseller from Spring Valley, Rockland County, New York. I had that in my head. And so I'm one of those people who, like, I'll have a lot of doubt, I'll have a lot of, like, worry, but in my innermost being, I 100% believe that will happen. I 100% think that will happen. And it matters to me, like I said earlier, to, like, say that where I'm from, too. So, yeah. I don't know if I expected it or what, but a part of me knew it, actually. And we got lucky. It really happened.
Yeah, and I back to you being from Spring Valley, I like that.
This could be a whole Spring Valley podcast. I'd be into it.
It's just, in everything every interview that I've seen you in, and even on your website and all the descriptions of your book, it says where you're from. It doesn't say New York based or New York City area based or
Facts.
Even just Rockland County, which is very generic.
Yeah.
It says author from Spring Valley, New York.
Yep.
And it's important because it'll make people want to learn about Spring Valley, and it'll, I think knowing about where somebody's from gives you a lot of context to the art that they put out. Yes.
And you're from Valley as well, and you went to Spring Valley, like the sister high school to my high school, Ramapo. And we ourselves, very few of us know what Ramapo and Spring Valley are in the context of Rockland. Basically, the school with the minorities, the school that from the school district that is often struggling financially. That's at least the story that we mostly hear. But we also know there's a lot of beauty and magic that comes out of those same spaces. So for me, it's very intentional. It's an intentional decision to try to center or at least highlight the fact that I'm from Spring Valley, Rockland County, because I was born in Queens, but I came at a young enough age that I feel like I became who I was in Spring Valley. And I also have peeped a long time ago that a lot of people and again, no shade to them, but as they'll go to high school and Rampo or Valley, but then as they become, adults,
They'll see it from a different place.
They're from somewhere else now.
Yeah.
As especially as they start trying to find success in a different kind of space. And again, that's not to say I live in the Bronx now. I love the Bronx. You know what I mean? I have a bunch of love for them, and in some ways, like like something about that culture is like gets in you almost by force. But I know where I'm from, and I've gone to the schools, and I want them to feel like they're from somewhere too. That's really the biggest issue about it for me. I see these kids, and the only story they hear are those sort of negative stories.
Yeah.
And I would like to be at least one small piece of a story that is like, actually this person's from here, and it's a positive, it's a good thing. So that's why I sort of center it and say it, and I had to make that decision because eventually, like, a lot of people just naturally put that out of their bio or whatever. And so for me, it's been a conscious decision to keep it as part of the story.
Yeah.
And again, like, and it's multi layered because, like I said, I love seeing people like you from the town doing stuff like this. So like, I'll make an effort to try to be there if I can. And so we're all like in it together, and if we can just kind of keep that energy passing through us, I think we could do something really positive.
Do you try to incorporate that idea of community in your work? Yeah,
that's an important question, and it happens in different ways. So I taught for a while, right? I taught in I think that in every institution I've taught at, both Syracuse University and Colgate University, I've tried to somehow foster community outside of the classroom space. And usually it's by creating a new program where people can come and join using creativity as like the thing bringing us together. And now there's kind of more challenges in doing that in pandemic era, since I've been back home.
In teaching?
So I stopped teaching for the last couple of years, and I came back downstate to the city. And it's a little bit more challenges in terms of like, how can I bring community with my work? Yeah. So there's with my writing work, and then also with my teaching side. Those are both, I consider those both like what I do. So with the writing stuff, community will form around the book almost on its own.
Yeah.
Book clubs and that kind of sort of thing. And so in that sense, I'll try to, if they ask me to come, if I can, I will, because again, I don't take it for granted that these people have wanted to read my work. And in terms of using my own person, I have a writing group, and we try to meet. It's actually new. And so I'm trying to find creative ways of keeping a sense of community because it matters a lot to me. But then my actual fiction, in my actual work, just by making sure I include us, making sure that I feel like Black and brown people could see themselves in the story.
Yeah.
That's a way of sort of inviting something like community, I think, into my actual writing. You know what I'm saying?
So, how do you make Black stories? How do you make, or do you prioritize the importance of Black stories to the people that you've taught, the classes that you've taught? Because the reality is most universities are predominantly white.
Right. Yeah. It's first you have to be really aware of where these kids are coming from and understanding that the canon, as they call it, has been for a long, long time dominated by white voices, white men in particular. And then the easiest way is by creating a diverse and thorough reading list. So, but in my classroom, I mean, it's not like we won't be any white men on the syllabus. One of my mentors is, and I almost always teach him, George Saunders. That's a white dude, so he usually makes the cut. But the majority of the things we read will not be white men. 100, that's, you can pull up any reading list I've ever created from any syllabus, from any of my classes ever. And it's important. And again, it's not just diversity for diversity's sake. These are great authors who are maybe the kids have not read. These are great people who are often contemporary. These are people who are sometimes my peers, and you just get so much. You invite so many more flavors of life when you do that. So that's the easiest and most obvious way. And then obviously my person, if they want to, I very rarely talk about my own my own work in my classes. But if they ask me, I could talk to them about, you know, how I did it, and then that's another way too. But I'm not one of those teachers who'd be like on my own stuff. That's really corny to me. Yeah.
Self-serving.
Yeah, it's weird.
Does it help that, you know, because you're fairly young, does it help that you're kind of close in age to your students?
Yeah, I'm getting less and less close though, but I think it does. I used to pretend to be a student on the first day of every class, so it was like a cool way of getting to connect with them. I've had students talking to me, saying all types of, you know, talking to me like,
yeah,
this nigga's like this, like regular, you know what I mean? And then I like get up and start teaching, and they're like, oh shit, you know, or you know what I mean? So I definitely had that. I can talk to them a different kind of way. I can speak their language, but again, that's getting less and less true because I'm not even on TikTok. So I'm sure that next time I go back to teaching, it's about to be, I'm not gonna know what they're talking about. But
you gotta just make up a TikTok dance.
I know, right?
Syllabus.
I know, it's so crazy because I remember when last time I taught, my students had been born in the year 2000 or something, or no, like a little like 2001. Yeah. I remember being like, what?
Yeah,
you
like
know?
I remember 2001.
Yeah, and I like to like throw in the fact that I like anime and like cool stuff. I play video games, but the jig is up basically. I think if I pretend to be a student nowadays, they'd be like, this dude right away.
Yeah,
you know?
they're gonna be thinking you're pandering.
They're gonna be like, yo, okay, bro, let it go. So we'll see.
You know, now I want to go to the process of writing because Friday Black is a collection of stories.
Yeah.
And why that route and not just straight
a novel? Right. Well, I think that Friday Black was just a book I had to write for a lot of reasons, but one of them is I'm the kind of writer who I don't have like one particular style, you know. A part of my style is that I can switch it up pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And I also have a lot to say, and so I think that this book, as an entry into like the world, the literary space, is an example of like, look, I'm this person who has these interests and these cares, and they're sort of diverse, but they all kind of connect back to this sort of humanity, love thing. But also like some of my feelings are pretty dark. Yeah. But also I don't mind engaging darkness with humor, and I could do that in a lot of different ways. And so I think the collection was the best way that I could have imagined at that point to be my full self. And I think that was important for at least my first book. Yeah. And I'll do another collection, but also do a novel next. But I think at least for that first time, I had so many different stories in me, basically, you know.
What do you think your next book will be about?
I know it's going to be about. I don't know how much I can say. It's kind of like it's going to deal with carceral or like prison as like an idea, and like in a very sci-fi kind of new way. Yeah. But it's done. I just gotta like be my editor going back and forth last stages. I wish I could say the title, but I can't. But I know it though.
No, that's
mystery.
That keeps mysterious. Definitely people that have read Friday Black, sure they have something to look forward to.
Right.
When they watch and listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, you just brought up an editor. What would you, because you also rap now, and we'll get into that, later in the interview. Right. You also rap, so is there any similarities between an editor of a book and, like, who would you compare an editor to in music?
Engineer, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's a really good question. And that's, no one's asked me about rap stuff really yet. And I've only put like one song, and want to put out more though. But my engineer is a artist himself named Mike Mitch from Harlem. He's my bro, and that's. Huh?
Oh no, just finish.
That's my bro, and he is my engineer, and he recorded the song I put out called Nabokov, and he's recorded every song I would do. And the recording engineer, I mean, it could be a producer as well, like, because he's also in a sense a producer, because sometimes there's a sense of a producer is someone who makes beats, but there's also a producer in the sense of, that's why, like, even though Khaled, like, some people think he doesn't really do shit, which is kind of maybe true sometimes, he also does do a lot, because there's someone who's, like, has an idea and sees it from its inception to execution. And that's a producer in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Something's like a producer for a film. Imagine that for a song. Like, they might not be the writer, but they're getting the writers in the room. They may not be the star of the movie, but they're pairing the star with the script. Yeah. They may not be the director, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he didn't make that beat, or I made that beat on that song, but he's I would say the engineer, because that's who you're locking in to actually do it. They might say, you know what, you can hit that, at least this is my experience. I don't know how other people do it. And me and Mike have a very good working relationship, even though we've done only a couple songs.
I've seen the chemistry on your Secret Rap project.
Oh, yeah. It's very vibes, bro. Yeah. Like, it's very comfortable. And I need that, because if I want to say real shit, you got to kind of be in like a comfortable space.
Yeah.
And so I would say the engineer is the closest that you get to like that editor person. And that means that they're going to give you feedback that's honest, that you can trust. It's a relationship that has to be built over time. And they're, both of you, when you're done, you guys are both the ones who have made like something really special, hopefully.
And with an editor,
yeah,
what's the process of editing a book?
Yep.
Compared to editing or engineering music?
So, at least in my experience, again, engineering music, actually that takes a while too, because it depends. But like engineering music, it's kind of more like boom, 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 boom. Like you lay your verse down, you listen to it. It's a conversation happening like in real time right now. And then you'll go in and fix it. At least that's how Mike does it. And Mike can mix on the spot, right, as you're recording it. Then you'll say, I like this, I don't, da-da-da. You get to a rough draft together. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big difference. You get to a rough draft together. Yeah. Then he'll go and do more mixing, and then maybe you're there or not. I'm usually there if he's going to do it, and then eventually he'll master it. With a book, I'm getting to a rough draft
by
myself over years, maybe. The book I'm working on now I'm like 7 or 8 years into it. And my editor probably hadn't seen it for the first 6 years of it, right? So you're swimming by yourself for a long ass time in doing a book stuff. And then you're almost welcoming someone else into this thing you've been working by yourself, this really ugly, disgusting mess you probably made of a first draft. Well, and actually that's not even true for me. I don't show anyone my first draft. I'll call it a first draft, but I'll lie and I'll have done probably 2 or 3 drafts, and that's like my first draft, because my first draft is really bad. Then my editor will see my 3rd draft of my quote unquote first draft, and then the conversation starts. Yeah. And then she'll read it. She'll give me her feedback in one big batch, even though she'll give me general notes probably sooner, and then I'll go through it and see what I agree with, what works, what doesn't, whatever. Then I'll give her another draft. Yeah. And then we go back and forth. And again, this process takes months or years. So it's a lot slower, it's a lot more methodical, and then there's also a lot more space where you're by yourself. With the engineer, my music life, like I feel like my music, every project, it feels like it's just as much Mike's as mine, to be honest. Because at least my engineering shit is like, he's helping me a lot because has more experience as a rapper. Yeah. So, whereas with my book, it's more like it's definitely me, and then someone else came and lifted it to a new place, and it's not. And the editor is huge. My editor is a big deal. Yeah. But it's just because the book was just mine for so long, it feels different than an engineer who's there in the very first times I'm at least saying them out loud. But similarly, though, I'll have written the verse and worked on it. I'm slow. That's a theme in my thing. Yeah. I'll work on a verse and write a verse for literal years again. Wow. I think with rap, I was just scared, though. I was just scared to actually do it, because it's kind of stupid that I'm also rapping, you know what I'm saying? Like what the why? You know?
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you.
You're gonna be like, that's kind of
you know what?
stupid.
This is a dumb idea. Why you do this? Nah, but I was gonna ask. Why rap now?
I don't know. Why not? I guess. I think it's like after the pandemic, and I realized like, oh shit, like so much can change so quickly. Also, I had a little money to like buy equipment. Mind you, I had a beat machine before I've always been interested in it.
Yeah.
And I had these beats that I've been making.
I saw the Kai.
Yeah, MPC.
MPC.
Studio Black, yeah. I had that since 2016, but like, I've only been able to. Actually, Mike has one of my beats on one of his records, but like, I haven't really that's a part of myself I haven't ever shared. And I don't think art necessarily needs to be shared, but I wanted a space to. I didn't want to not share it because I was afraid. So I think I needed enough space in terms of the song I did put out. I needed enough space from the subject. So the first song I put out dealt a lot with like my book doing well and how that was a hard time for me mentally. Yeah, the Nabokov song is a lot about like the difficulty of having a book that's doing well, and anxiety and my dad's passing. So I kind of needed distance from that in terms of time to really do it. You know what I'm saying? And so we did it. But I think it's just another avenue of expression, honestly.
And it also helps that we are children of hip hop.
Yeah.
We come from hip hop generation and grew up on. The time that we grew up on with the music that we grew up on, listening to the radio. Yeah,
like, we've seen, we got lucky. I mean, stuff changes so fast.
Yeah.
And I already feel myself becoming one of these old heads who like don't like the new.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I look at these kids, and I call them kids because I'm older than them, with their like money messages on the carpet, and I'm like, this is ridiculous to me.
It's like it's like a whole new epidemic itself, with a whole new pandemic itself.
I can't. And mind you, like I could do like Baby, like Lil Baby.
Yeah.
But like after him, that's it. Like I feel like that's the end of my life.
He's really a rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But after Lil Baby, like the next group in that I can't do any of them. And I came up with old Kanye. You know what I mean? I came up with like. Hove.
Yeah.
I love Lupe. I love like even like like I've heard Lauryn Hill like making music. So and that's again, I'm not like I think Lil Baby's dope. I think he's like kind of crazy, especially like his like way he uses his voice. But I'm already like some of these like I respect Gunna and like what he's doing. It's not for me though. Like and but yeah, I listen to hip hop every day. Every single day, it's part of my life, and so it was just a chance to. And to be honest, I shouldn't even say that. I haven't gotten into enough Gunna like to really even know.
People at one point, I think about 2 years ago, people were talking about it was like Baby and Gunna, like who was better. I guess there was a lot.
I think that time made me be like, no, because I think I was like, it's not. I don't find it close.
Yeah,
but I'm just one person.
Yeah, it's you get to a point where you can't just be like, it's straight trash. You just got to be like, it's not for me.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
And there's also really dope. What sucks is like there's dope young people who are getting like not mentioned enough, or like there's like it's harder for someone like Mick Jenkins to cut through the noise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's like.
He put out a great album this year.
The Circus.
Yeah.
Is that what it was called, The Circus?
Or was it? Yeah.
I think.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
It might be The Circus.
It was a great album. It just like 2 months ago, I think.
Oh yeah, that's after The Circus.
Yeah,
there's another one. Yeah. That's the one with Context is on. I can't remember the name of the album, but yeah, and he's one of my favorite rappers.
Me too.
But some people a lot of people have never heard of Mick Jenkins, but also a lot of people have. So I don't know what I'm really complaining about. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it feels a little off balance in terms of like the Mick Jenkins to the Gunners. No, again, that's just an example.
It's a I think that it's an ecosystem, hip hop.
Yeah.
And it took me really till recently to realize that, because I used to be snobbish, super snobbish.
Yeah.
And
I'm kind of being snobbish right now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, because really I know it's not like this or that. There's a bunch of layers in all of this stuff, and Gunna's music is like from a real place that has to be represented. It's just that for me, like there's a certain thing that is often represented and early represented, and again, maybe it's like just age. I'm getting to a point where I'm really like, I see the, like, I was joking about it before, but I see the, like, I don't know what language I'm allowed to use right now. Like, what he said with the money message or whatever, like, y'all gonna die, you know? And I'm, like, actually sickened by that. I'm like, this is actually, like, real, like, to me, like, clownery. Like, actually, like buffoonery to me. And, like, that type of shit is, like, so
prevalent.
It's so everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just wish it was a little bit less, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's what sells, and but then at the same time, people be like, that sells, and then content that's more for the everyday person doesn't sell. But then at the same time, people like J. Cole sell out every venue and go platinum every album.
That's true too. Like J. Cole does what he does, and and again, it's funny. Like on the way here though, like even though I'm talking all this shit, like I'll listen to Yo Gotti like just now, like that's what I listen to. So I love that stuff. It's just like so much. But J. Cole and Kendrick represent a certain lane that does have like a very prominent space, but I would say like there's not a bunch of J. Coles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas there are, you know.
Do you think that the content that somebody like Gunna has exists in the world of books, in the world of literature, and do you think that it has the same mainstream appeal that an artist like Gunna has, because he has a lot of mainstream appeal?
That's a really, really good question. I would say in literary world, quote unquote literary, it's like the reverse. The problem I'm saying is like the reverse. It's like too many Coles. And not enough Gunnas.
It's too elite.
It's too like elite in that sense. It's too like fake elite. It's too like, because what really, at the end of the day, nothing is better or worse, you know? But I would say the literary spaces, there's not enough, like there's too much, I didn't go to Ivy League, but there's too much Ivy League like representation. There's too much advanced degree. There's too much MFA. There's too much because there's people who are writing, who probably are capable of writing really dope work, who don't feel inclined to be in that space. So I feel like the reverse thing, where I would like in literary world, and it exists somewhere. Don't get me wrong. They call it urban lit.
Oh, they really do call it urban?
For real. Or street lit. Street lit or urban lit, one of them. It's a thing. It exists. But and it's actually a complicated type issue though, because in the Finkelstein Library, if you go there, there used to be a time where that was the only thing you saw in the African American section was urban lit, and it'd be like Street Writers 2. It's a book. Street Writers 2, swear to God. And like
no, I remember that in high school. I remember.
You remember those? That's the, to me, I don't know if I'm being ignorant. That feels like the equivalent of what you're sort of speaking to.
That's basically. Because that's what I had in mind, honestly, when we started talking about that, and that just popped up into my head. Those books that girls used to read in high school, like A Hustler's Wife.
Yeah.
You know.
But to be honest, like to be fair to them though, and the writers of those books, like that's like they probably are. Like, we're kind of snobbish towards them. You know what I mean? Because there's probably heat in those books. You know.
I thought it was cool though, because, you know, People were reading.
Word,
It's
bro.
like-
If you're reading,
People
I'm
reading.
with you because a lot of people are not reading.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like, I want to rescind any possible Gunna negativity. I rock with him and anybody who's making their art.
That's not P of you.
Yeah, that's very un-P of me. That was very un-P of me. That was totally un-P of me. I take it back. I rock with him and everybody making their art. They're doing. Everyone's trying.
How important is the power of
Perseverance.
being played? Nah. How important is the power of collaboration?
It's really powerful on many levels, and for a long time I kind of tricked myself into thinking I didn't need it. But there's only so much you can, as an individual, can do. And because of my form, writing, literary spaces, I've gotten to. I don't need collaboration in my artistic process till pretty late into the process, like I was saying earlier. But it's a lot of people that made Friday Black, and it's not just me. There's an editor, there's my agent, there's the publisher, there's everyone at the publisher, everyone there. Excuse me, there's my publicist, Taryn. There's the marketing director. There's so many different people that like really work to make, and that's like the immediate team, let alone people going hard over there that you never meet, people going there that you never meet, some sales rep over there. And that's like that's in a very like practical whatever sense. But now I'm learning. The reason I got into the film stuff, I've started directing music videos and that kind of thing. That's a whole other collaboration where in the creative process, you're working with each other and you can make something so much greater than any of you would have made individually. I know that for a fact for me. Part of the reason I did the Secret Rap project is to see what it looks like when I'm doing something by myself. And it's fine, it's cool, but it's stripped down, it's simple. But I know when I got my DP Alex Phillip, who also is from Spring Valley working, I know what it looks like. When I got John Smith, who's also from Spring Valley working with me, I know what it looks like. When I got Gerard Santiago working with me, who's also from Spring Valley, it looks even better again. Yeah. And so, it feels better, and I also like it. It's fun. It's like you get to work with your team. You know what I mean? So it's extremely powerful because we're all limited in our point of views and our perspectives, and it's just way more. Now I'm just hearing every P word differently. We're all limited in our point of view and our perspectives, but it's way more P to have a strong team around you. It's way cool to have a strong. It's way better to have a strong team around you.
That's a good callback. You spoke about it earlier, but there was a part of episode 2 of the Secret Rap Project, and you spoke about being able to lament about your life as a writer in this new medium that is rapping, and how cool it is. And you know, you've written about writing before, but in rapping, you're rapping about writing. Yeah. So what's more fulfilling to you?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think everything is. It depends though, like, cause like rapping is like, it's just, if you're like, you know what I mean, like for us, like it's almost like there's like after basketball, it's like the other.
For real.
It's the other thing you like just, you kind of, the starter pack, like Black Boy starter pack, like you just want it forever. And I kind of never lost it a little bit, like that desire, a little piece of me, even as I'm like in a different space, you know. Writing in general, creating something difficult, for me what's fulfilling is whatever's hard. So this novel is the hardest thing I've probably ever done creatively. That's the most fulfilling thing. But music, because I was so, it's like what? Yeah. Because that feels fulfilling to me. Also, the collaboration aspect makes it fulfilling. That's another collaboration, me and Mike mostly. With this, whatever writing I'm doing now, whatever film stuff, that learning how to collaborate. Because from writing for so long, I ended up becoming not that much of a team player. I realized I sort of have gotten comfortable being like, all right, it's a team, but at the end of the day, what I say goes, kind of deal, and which is why I think I prefer the director role.
Yeah.
But now I like having really smart people on my team who like, even if that isn't the case, if I happen to be directing that thing, I also I've supported other people, and I'm making a short answer, a long one. I think it's all fulfilling in different ways, but I really like finding a new challenge and finding a way to figure it out and finding a way to attack it. And I appreciate it. I appreciate this is the first time I'm talking about the Secret Rap Project also, which is again something I kind of did just because I want to see if I could do it.
It's it's commendable to just go out there and put yourself out there. You put yourself out there as a writer, but you're still kind of writers tend to be naturally introverted and reserved, and I don't know if that's how you naturally are, but usually that's from my and me even being a writer myself. I've seen that they're naturally just reserved and introverted. So to become a rapper, that's an extroverted art form. So it's mentally, it could be challenging to just put yourself out there for the public to just scrutinize you, and you almost see or hear that scrutiny instantly.
With art, well, it's funny. Like being there's the being an artist and there's making art. So with writing, there's the actual doing, which is a very introverted practice. It's a solitary practice. You're by yourself, dodo. But then being a writer that is in the world, it's actually I've gone on book tours. What I'm saying. So I've had to be very extroverted to serve the art I made already. So in some ways, even though writing is a very introverted sort of solitary practice, it's forced me to actually be more comfortable in the public eye, public spaces, which is like even doing stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel uncomfortable doing stuff like this anymore because I've had a lot of practice. And so I think in some ways it actually perpetuated me doing the rap stuff, which I like how legitimately we're talking about my rap stuff. Like, 'cause I appreciate it, even though I've only done the one song so far. But I have other heat coming, so it's okay. But in some ways it's helped me because I was sort of forced to be out there in the world, and they're very different. But and even before that though, I'm both. I'm one of those intro extroverts. Like I could be very solitary. I saw a meme. They say I be in my house like I'm on parole, and I'm like, yo, that resonates with me because I've been in the house a lot, but. I pop up, pop out once in a while too.
There's also nothing to do.
And it's a pandemic.
Yeah.
But even before that, I'm inside a lot.
Yeah. In the first story of Friday, because I want to go back also, because we're talking about your rap, but I also want to go back to the writing. In Friday Black, you show how even when black people across America feel the psychological effects of white vigilantes murdering unarmed black men, then being found not guilty for it, we still have to get up and live our regular lives. And Emmanuel, he had to figure out what he was going to wear to his job interview amid the verdict of the Finkelstein Five, and worry about not appearing too black so he could make white people feel comfortable.
Right.
And even at a young age, his dad said, you got to know how to move.
Yeah.
And just going back to you making black stories, emphasizing black writers as a teacher. Do you think that like why is it important to include these realities in your work?
Sometimes I'm trying to think of the quote, but there's a quote about like, if there's a lack in the world, you fill it as an artist, and that's the experience of Emmanuel, that code switching, even though I made it more like sort of surreal, is very familiar to most of us, us being black people. And his particular type is the one that black males have to do, knowing that you're being perceived as a threat or of threat of physical violence or whatever all the time. And that's an important thing to me because it's shaped how I literally do everything, but it hasn't been often represented in the in fiction, in my opinion, or at least that I had seen. And so it mattered a lot for me to show that and show like that it's not just, you know, it's with the kid, it's like this is a lifelong indoctrination process that's happening. And we get it. It's not no one's fault because like the father, he's trying to keep his kid alive.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just trying to represent something that is not foreign to most of us, but is still seldom represented.
Do you think that there's a fine line between, because his dad told him you have to know how to move, and a lot of our parents tell us certain things we have to wear or not to wear, so that we don't get negative attention. Yeah. But as we get older, we become more intelligent. We see more examples of you know, sadly all the time, police killing us or vigilante white people killing us. Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. Yeah. You know, it doesn't matter how you speak or how you don't speak. Yeah. You know, but our parents are telling us those things, adults are telling us those things to keep us alive. That's how they know how to do it. So do you think that there's a fine line between trying to keep you alive and respectability politics?
Yeah, that I think the story is all about like that line for all of us. Like, at what point are you compromising yourself to serve something that is not there to serve you anyways, right? But again, you know, how do you keep your kid safe in this world? It's a win. It's a lose-lose situation. I think that at this stage in my life, I'm pretty much uncompromisingly myself, but I also know that's because I have a lot of privileges. Of, you know, I can get a job or whatever because of things that come before I even come in a room. Yeah. And if that weren't true, would I still feel so like, oh, I could just be myself all the time? Probably not, right? So there is a line, but I also like, for me, like I can't. I think it's everyone should aspire to be themselves all the time, you know. But I also understand the reality of, listen, like I gotta work today, and I won't get this job unless I do this. So it is really tough, and I hope that parents though can inspire, or at least like impart to their children that like who you are is 100% valuable and a gift to this world, no matter how anyone else is perceiving you. If they are gonna tell them to like act this way or that way, let them always know that that's because someone else is wrong, not because yours is wrong. You know what I mean? So it's tough.
Do you have the sense that, or the feeling that maybe the world needs to adjust to us?
Yeah, 100%.
Because we go through so much of our life, spend our whole life trying to adjust to this world that we're born into.
100%. And it's like, even adjusting to us is like just literally not killing us. Yeah. Literally like treating everyone with love. It's normal. Like, but yeah, 100% I think that we're asking, or not even asking anymore, but like saying that this has to happen, where we can't feel like we're doing something weird by asking to be thought of as human, you know? That's not weird.
Yeah, it'd be like Black Lives Matter.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we know what it is now, and if we had any question about it, you know, it's in so many ways. Like, people say, like, I don't know if you've heard, like, whiteness is a death cult, like, and that sounds dramatic, and not say white people are all in a death cult, but whiteness, and it's true. We see that with this refusal towards like a virus. Like, this is not like, it's like, it's so this other thing, this otherness, this like willingness to like even destroy the self to not be part of a collective. this constant desire to tear this other person down, this sort of refusal of any stance of reality, the 1619 Project and all this type of stuff. It's really pretty crazy. It's really pretty crazy.
Even in schools, people are trying to
the critical race theory. That's the 1619. It's nuts, bro. It's really nuts. It's really nuts. So, yeah, the world they should adjust to us, but that sounds like that's even effort. It should be like you should live in reality. Live in reality and not this like imaginary whiteness space.
Yeah, it definitely is imaginary, especially as the world becomes more diverse. You're just gonna accept it. You have to accept the fact that your influence is no longer what it used to be.
Everyone has their own destiny. Everyone can do their own thing, and like that's okay, and that should be good. It's really crazy that we always have to argue with people about this. Like, it shouldn't be like. I mean, we could talk about it forever, but like, you know,
it's like explaining that water is wet.
We live in a country where we still lionize and idolize known enslavers, and rapists. And that's George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, I think not John Adams, but most of the first 12 presidents, you know? And it's like, what? Like how, it's such an American sort of idea about stuff. And it's not to say like, first off, I mean, I can't even go down the road, but it's like, the people almost say like, oh, it was a different time, as if they didn't have a choice. They had a choice.
Yeah.
Abolitionists existed in those times. It wasn't like you aren't born as a white person by default. You have to be a slaver.
And most white people during times of slavery didn't own slaves.
Exactly. Like this is a symbol of like an elite sort of stature. Yeah. And that's continued, and capitalism has recreated that in a different form. But it's just like this weird empty reverence for like this symbolic Americana thing that is, when you actually interrogate it seriously, is so empty of any real moral anything. I mean, talk about how the country was like first had, and genocide of Native Americans or whatever. It's just that like not that like sort of fundamental unwillingness to accept reality. That's why like it's not surprising to me. That's why I say the whiteness is a death cult thing. Yeah. It's not surprising to me when people don't want to think the virus is real.
Yeah.
They don't want to think that Native American. They think about Native Americans giving pilgrims to Turkey still. You know what I mean? This non-reality thing is so built into all of our anything. It's in the air here. So it's not surprising when these people don't want to believe in a fact of science. When we say the sea levels are rising, they're like, no, that didn't happen. It's the same thing as saying there's no genocide of the Native Americans. It's the same thing as saying as willing to be ignorant about the reality of American slavery.
Well, see, slavery wasn't that bad.
It's all just, it doesn't make me feel good, so it's not true. And and it's leading to the destruction of a planet, and it's nuts. That's what I mean when I say like whiteness is a death cult. Feel good stuff over here. Don't worry, it's fine.
So, words matter.
Yeah.
Well, now that you've explained how long it takes for a writer, specifically you, to get a book out, or even how you get your music out, does it interfere? Like, does one interfere with the other?
Nah, it doesn't. So the first verse I wrote that made me like, excuse me. The first verse I wrote that made me like I'm gonna really do scrap. Sorry, thank you. Was I went to a hotel, booked it for like 4 days, and went crazy on the novel. And I was going crazy though, like I was like going crazy in the room, like actually crazy.
Oh wow!
So I needed a break.
Yeah.
And I got this instrumental, like I do that already, like put instrumentals on, just like freestyling or whatever. And then I was like, I started writing a verse, and I got to a certain line, and I was like, oh, this is hard. like you know, like that feeling when like you listen to rap and you like that like kind of face. But I did it to myself, and I was like, oh shit, like, and I've done that before, but I felt it like in a different way.
Yeah.
And once I did that, I was like, I'm gonna record this shit. Like,
Yeah.
and so sometimes it's like, you know, you only have so much energy for any particular thing. It's like a Sims, you know. Sometimes you want to write, sometimes you want to do music, sometimes you want to read, sometimes you want to go play sports, whatever. And so for me, it's all creative avenues that, and a lot of like I'm doing music right now because I'm waiting for my editor to give me back my book, you know.
Wow.
So like, well, like that's why I'm pushing it right now. That's why it came out right now. And when my editor gives me back my book, it'll probably be a little slow for music for a little bit. Then the book will find, when I pass it back to her, I actually get to live my own life because my book will be really done. So it's like, you know, it's just another thing.
You ever, I don't know, plan on,
What are your goals with
Yeah.
the music? Do you plan on being the first Pulitzer Prize winning, Grammy Award winning artist?
Author? Well, you know, Kendrick got a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
So second, I guess. But no, I don't really have real like commercial or, you know, external expectations for the music. Even though I say that, I don't know how true that is. I'm not looking at the way I look at my writing, because the unfortunate reality that I've learned is that when it starts becoming that, some of the magic gets taken out of it. And I still love writing, but when it's a job, it's different.
Yeah.
So music, it's fun. I like the idea that, like, because of the quality that I put out, hopefully people think that's what I'm thinking. And if I make an album and it does, people like rock with it, that's fine. But I'm not gonna, you know, there's a lot of like political and sort of financial things you have to do to get music into spaces where it's
Business,
like into
yeah.
like that side. And I don't have a lot of interest in doing that.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in making something that feels real, it feels cool. And if like 5 people like, yo, I listen to this sometimes, I'll feel really good. And I'm surprised, like, because we've gotten way more views on YouTube than I thought we would have ever gotten. And even on like SoundCloud, you know, that was really it. Like, I want to be like a SoundCloud rapper, which people used to make fun of, but like I'm fine with that, you know what I'm saying?
No, I mean SoundCloud is a lot of artists' careers are give credit to SoundCloud.
So they pop off.
Yeah, and SoundCloud kind of dropped the ball, but
Yeah.
because they could be where a lot of these other streamers are.
I think the next thing I put out will be on streaming services though. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't do this last song because I sampled the beat. But I think the next thing I do will be on, like, I do the whole TuneCore thing. I think.
And you made this beat yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
From a sample though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I did all the drums, all the
You
even
looped it, but you added your own drums. and
I
stuff.
add my own drums. I add my own little yeah. But I mean, yeah, I made that beat 100% on the MPC.
How long you been doing that?
Not on and off though. Like, you know, I have like periods where I don't be honest, so I can't say like, if I did it consistently for 6 years, I'd be so much better. But I've had an MPC for going on 6 years, which is nuts. But yeah, I got that like almost 6 years ago. I think just seeing Kanye and stuff, and
Yeah,
Cole
yeah.
too. J. Cole's is one of my favorite rappers, if not my
Yeah.
favorite rapper. And you know, I've seen him making beats, you know, so I've always been like, and obviously Ye, Pharrell, but really Ye, you know, like I'm a big Kanye fan, which is why this whole period is a very sad period for me.
I mean, musically, like lyrically,
Whatever, but and you know all the narcissism, but production wise, he's still amazing. I mean, Daytona to me, some of the
Daytona.
best production of his career.
The way he chops up samples is just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's like, what's the one, the games we play? I listened to like, I was listening to that yesterday actually, and it's like, it's so simple but so hard. You know what I mean?
because you hear you know it's like repetitive with the him hitting the pad, but it's just, you know, I mean, I can't do that.
He's different, bro. Like,
Yeah.
now that I know a little bit about it, like, I get why he really thinks he's the shit, because he is though. Like, when it
Yeah.
comes to like that music shit, like, he's really one of the goats in production alone.
Yeah. Who is Nabokov?
Oh, that's a good question again. Nabokov is a Russian writer. he wrote a book called Alita. He also wrote a book called Pale Fire, which is why there's like a bar in there. I said like, claim sick, but really you ain't hardly cough. One book they're comparing me to Nabokov. That's real sick. Something to satisfy. I could tell your fire's pale. I've been spinning Mazel Tov. Pale Fire is one of his books as well. Anyways, he's a very famous Russian author, and I just use him because I haven't actually been compared to him, but I've been compared to like some of his contemporaries, and I wanted to like talk about like that. I just wanted that like, I wanted kind of mysteriousness. I think I also wanted the end, and I wanted like a dark. I think he's also known for like a certain kind of tone, a dark kind of tone.
That's why the beat sounds like that.
And I wanted like it's sort of a little mystery. But yeah, he's another writer too. I wanted and I think the next song will be another author's name, but someone more familiar to most Americans probably.
Like who?
Like Ellison, Ralph Ellison.
Okay, yeah.
The next song I think is gonna be called Ellison. It will be called Ellison.
So will every song, or for now at least, be named?
I don't know. I think after the first two it might get corny, but I might. Yeah. It might be someone's name, but not another author. I have a song that right now the code name is Simone Biles, so I don't know if I'm gonna keep it that or not. Yeah. We'll see. But Ellison is next, who I actually have been compared to, which is weird because I don't think I deserve that at this stage, you know. Yeah. But it's an honor.
Because your first book was a collection of stories. Does it feel almost like you've written multiple books already?
I have written multiple books. I wrote a book before Friday Black ever came out, but this other book is done. So I guess it does feel like that. But with just Friday Black, it didn't feel like that because I felt like one thing. I did feel like it was one. Like I feel like I've written a bunch of stories, yeah. But in terms of books that I want people to read as a book, Friday Black felt like just one thing. Because even though they're separate, it's like an album. You know what I mean? You make a bunch of songs, but it's not the same as an album. That's how it felt.
Like, why fiction?
For me, weirdly enough, it's the easiest way to get to the truth. I think that it's hard for me to tell you how I feel just by saying something that happened, you know? By representing it in these like sort of surreal or strange ways. I could tell you, when I go work at this job, I have to wear a tie, and I talk like this so that like the other people in the office don't feel. But if I could tell that same that same energy in a story like The Finkelstein 5 and make you feel it better. So to me, it's like there's like what happened. There's like the truth of like a situation. There's like the truth, like how it actually felt. And I think fiction for me is a better way of getting at the actual truth. That's not true for everybody, but for me, I think that's the truth.
Why is it the easiest way to get to the truth compared to nonfiction? Like,
I have more creative, like elasticity. I could do more. Yeah. So I could create like the scale, a blackness scale in the story. I could exaggerate. I could understate things. I feel like reality could be like a little bit of a box, you know, and I could just get out of it or stay in it, you know, at my like leisure. So for me, it's like the freedom. I feel like fiction is a lot of freedom, and I like that. I like to have that option, because like I said, like I could, like even with the music, that's all a very true story, so to speak. But there's like kind of energy that comes from calling it Nabokov, even though that's not the true thing, you know what I'm saying? That makes sense? It just feels like there's an energy. So I like that. I like being able to be surreal or satirical or whatever. It's like I like playing around. And sometimes fiction doesn't always feel like that. I mean, nonfiction doesn't always feel like that for me.
Why go the major publishing route?
Yeah.
And instead of, Amazon.
Self-publishing?
Self-publishing.
A lot of reasons, but to be honest, at the time I was like kind of coming up, I wasn't aware of that process. Yeah. I feel like that's become more accessible in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So my book came out in 2018, but we sold the book in 2016. There's a lot that kind of went in prior. I wasn't that aware of that process, to be honest. And I knew about it a little bit, but not really. Then I wanted my book to be in stores. I wanted my book to be in Barnes and Nobles or independent bookstore, which is that's my relationship to books, you know. Also, I'm like anti-Amazon, even though I'm trying to like wean myself off of them completely, you know. But there's other ways of doing it besides Amazon. I honestly just didn't know about it at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a dope, and even if you do it through Amazon, I think it's actually kind of amazing how people are doing it. I love it, to be honest. But I just wasn't aware.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to grow. I feel like that space is going to grow a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any other, like, what are the other
Like avenues to
self-publish outside of Amazon?
Yeah. I'm not aware of that side of it at all, but I know it's doable.
Tell us about the process of even, do you shop the book to, it's almost like the process of, I mean, artists don't have to do that anymore now because of the internet, but you hear about older artists when they talk about their ascension into like stardom as a rapper or singer or whatever.
Yeah.
They had to make a demo and they had to find, ended up finding a person that worked at a record label.
It's not that different. It's not that different from that, except the difference is, so like you write your book, you have your whole book, if you want to call it a demo, because it is a little bit, because it's draft.
Yeah.
Your agent, though, that's a big difference. You have an agent, a literary agent, and that's the bridge between the author and the publishing company. The literary agent has connections with editors and publishing company, and then you will like sort of sell it to them. You shop it around, you see what bites, and then maybe you sell a book. I didn't have like an auction. Only one person wanted my first book, and that's who we went with. So
an auction? Yeah,
like meaning like if two people say like two different publishers want the book, they'll bid on it against each other, which is what you want.
Wow.
Because you want to, to raise the money.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have no auction, and so that's how it happened for me.
What's a greater escape from reality to you? Writing as an author, or writing as a rapper?
I think it's hard. I think that writing fiction, probably, it depends right now, because a lot of my music be very my life based. Mm-hmm. More like my specifically life, which my fiction is too, but this is like in a direct way. So sometimes the music be taking me, it's not even an escape, it's a more closer look. Sometimes. But then again, my writing also does that exact same thing. But not every single time. Sometimes I'm really working with a story, even though the feeling is always me. So I would say neither, but at least at the moment, especially not music. They're both but that said, I got into writing initially as like a way to dissociate from life, I think. So probably music more, because writing can be escape still. I can still be escape from life sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I ask because writing is your job.
Yeah.
So, it's hard for people, even though your job is creativity and people use creativity as an escape.
Yeah.
It's hard for the average. It's still work. So it's hard for people to find an escape. The average person can't find an escape from work through work. Yeah.
And that's part of the change I was talking about. When it becomes your job or your way of sustaining your life, the energy is way different around it. It's still a beautiful thing, though. I still love writing. It's just that I have to be really careful and meticulous about protecting the energy around it.
Do you protect your energy as a rapper? Or is that possible?
With the rap stuff, it feels more natural because it's not tainted yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
By like professional whatever. It's naturally like it's already ridiculous. That's like the way I would say it. Writing at one point was ridiculous. Like really pursuing it, it's like kind of ridiculous. Like it's like it's the same thing as saying you want to be a rapper. That's what I used to say actually. You say I'm a writer, people are like, okay, like you want to be a rapper or something. And now that it's not that, now that there's like they know I'm like actually trying to do it in real life, it's become expected. And now music and also directing and film stuff is like that sort of like, you can't do it energy, which I thrive off of. Not in it, some of it's made up. Some of it's me just being like, Michael Jordan, making up a story to motivate myself. But like, I know on some level it's ridiculous for me to be making music as a writer, quote unquote. Yeah. And that's fun to me. So now it's fun because now I don't have to worry about expectation. I don't got to worry about proving this or that. I don't got to worry about some award. I don't worry about money. I'm just doing it because I want to do it. And that feels that's the feeling of you want to protect. So it's already there with music. With writing, I got to like remind myself. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what this, that. It's all about this, you right here in front of the page.
Yeah. So, why do words matter to you?
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, and I think it's a great name for the cast.
Thank you.
Words are how I make the world, for me, and that's not just in my words are how I make worlds like that. I can like sort of make a home for myself through my fiction, or in my nonfiction, or rap. Words are how I find meaning. Words are how I create like safety, or like words are also how I make like, that's how I create healing for myself usually. It's also how I escape, like you said, like it's like escapism. So for me, because of the spaces I'm in my job, words are kind of my power.
Yeah.
That's where power comes from to me. That's if there's power like in the world, like there's different types of magic, and there are a lot of different types. The type I happen to wield uses words across many mediums, but words are the main thing. And I think you can use it to help people, or you can use it to harm people. And a lot of people use it to harm people. And I'm trying to be one person who uses it to help.
Wow, that's very profound.
I mean, that's my whole job. You know what I mean, words is my whole shit, kind of.
Yeah. Words matter. Listen, that's all I have for you today. And I'm happy you're here, man. It's very inspiring. Your story as a writer, and just you even being who you are and achieving what you've accomplished. New York Times bestseller, coming from my hometown, and gang. And just thank you, man.
Of course, bro. I appreciate it. This is beautiful. And like you said, and like home team, number one, and also like just doing this, I feel like more of a rapper than I did before. So thank you for that, bro.
Of course, I'm gonna highlight everything you do.
I love it.
Accent, it's your platform. It's my platform, but it's your platform. Once I'm interviewing you, it's yours.
I appreciate it.
So, thank you again, man. So, Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. I hope I said it right again.
Perfect.
All right, man. Thank you,
bro.